What if the happiness you've been searching for was never really lost? In a world chasing luxury cars, perfect Instagram feeds, and endless bucket lists, is it possible we're all just missing the point? Let's uncover how timeless wisdom and modern psychology quietly agree. Happiness isn't hiding. We've just been looking in the wrong places. Have you ever asked yourself, what does it actually take to live a happy life? If so, you're not alone. In today's high-speed, hyper-connected world, where success is measured in likes, followers, and milestones, we often overlook the simplest truths. Everyone talks about happiness, yet very few truly explain how to achieve it without selling some fantasy or 10-step formula. But take a deep breath, because today, we're cutting through all that noise. Instead of quick fixes, we're diving into what psychology and ancient Stoic philosophy have to say about real, lasting happiness. Spoiler alert, it's often found in the small, overlooked habits like laughing more, soaking up sunshine, waking up with purpose, and yes, even turning off your phone once in a while. So why do these small things matter? Why are we still learning from wisdom that's thousands of years old, even in the 21st century? Let's explore that, but first, a story to set the stage. There was once a young man named Mark who lived in a peaceful valley. On the surface, he had everything: a nice home, a well-paying job, a comfortable life. But deep down, something always felt incomplete, like a quiet emptiness he couldn't shake. One day, tired of feeling lost, Mark set out on a journey to discover the true essence of happiness. After days of travel, he found himself at a small wooden cabin perched on a hill, where he met an old man known by the villagers for his wisdom. They talked for hours, and eventually, the old man leaned forward and said, "To live a truly happy life, you don't need more things or more power. You need just 3 practices: gratitude, acceptance, and love." Mark raised an eyebrow, unsure what to make of it. But he listened closely. "Gratitude," the old man began, "is the foundation. If you can't appreciate what you already have, even the tiniest moments, you'll always feel like something's missing. Next is acceptance," he continued. "Life isn't supposed to be perfect. Learn to embrace its highs and lows without needing to control every outcome. That's where peace begins. And finally, love. Love what you do, love the people around you, and above all, love yourself. Because only with a heart full of love can you give and receive joy freely." Mark took those lessons to heart. He began noticing the beauty in everyday things: the warmth of sunlight, the rhythm of his breath, the laughter of friends. His outlook shifted. The emptiness faded. His friends in the valley soon noticed a remarkable change. When they asked him what had happened, Mark smiled and said, "Happiness isn't a destination you reach. It's how you walk the path, with gratitude, acceptance, and love. It's been within you all along." And that, my friend, brings us to the first practical lesson. But before we jump in, if content like this resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. That way, you'll never miss a chance to grow with us. Ready to begin the journey? Let's start with something simple: laugh more. So, as we just saw through Mark's story, happiness doesn't come from chasing more, but from practicing gratitude, acceptance, and love. Now, let's talk about one of the most overlooked but powerful habits that supports all 3: laughter. We often get so tangled in daily responsibilities, pressure, and personal struggles that we forget how to just let go. When was the last time you had a deep, uncontrollable laugh, the kind that made your stomach ache and your eyes water? The truth is, both modern science and ancient wisdom agree. Laughter isn't just some feel-good reaction. It's a vital tool for your well-being, mentally, emotionally, and even physically. Let's rewind for a moment. Back to the Stoics, those iconic thinkers known for mastering calm in chaos. At first glance, they might not strike you as the laugh out loud type. After all, Stoic philosophy emphasizes self-discipline, emotional control, and inner composure, especially when life gets tough. But here's the twist. Even the Stoics, with all their seriousness, understood the power of lightness. Take Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers. He once said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them." At first, that sounds like deep Stoic advice about managing your thoughts. But look, again, it's also a reminder that our response to life's chaos is a choice. And laughter, that's one of the most freeing choices we can make. It might seem small, a chuckle, a giggle, a burst of laughter, but it's anything but insignificant. When we laugh, our brains release a rush of feel-good chemicals like endorphins and serotonin, boosting our mood and easing pain. At the same time, laughter reduces cortisol and adrenaline, the stress hormones that keep us in constant fight-or-flight mode. It's like this. Laughter hits a hidden reset button on our nervous system. It calms us, centers us, and even improves our sleep. Imagine life as a roller coaster. Unpredictable, full of sharp turns and sudden drops. Laughter doesn't remove the twists, but it's like strapping in with a sturdy safety harness. You still experience the ride, but with more security, more trust, and a lot less fear. Dr. Lee Burke, a researcher at Loma Linda University, spent years studying the effects of laughter on the human body. His findings, nothing short of fascinating. Just a few moments of genuine laughter can reduce blood pressure, boost your immune system, and dramatically lower stress hormone levels. So no, laughter isn't just a temporary fix for a bad day. It's a long-term strategy for resilience, clarity, and emotional strength. But what if you don't feel like laughing? What if life is too heavy, too serious, too overwhelming? That's when the Stoic mindset shows up again. You don't need to fake happiness, but you can choose how you respond. Even a smile, or the decision to seek humor in dark moments, is an act of quiet strength. It's saying, I see the weight of life, but I won't let it crush me. And here's something even more encouraging. Science tells us that even forced laughter, like in laughter yoga or therapy, can trigger the same brain response as real laughter. Your body doesn't always know the difference. That means anyone can benefit. No comedian-level humor required. So next time life throws you a curveball, remember, a laugh might not fix everything, but it might just shift your perspective enough to rise above it. And speaking of powerful habits, there's another simple daily choice that can reshape your mindset and lift your energy without costing a thing. Let's talk about the magic of getting outside. Shall we? So we've seen how laughter, something so simple and human, can shift your mindset, calm your nervous system, and even build emotional strength. If people fighting cancer can find hope through laughter, then maybe, just maybe, we all can too. In fact, a study published in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine found that cancer patients who participated in laughter therapy reported feeling less depressed, more hopeful, and better equipped to face their challenges. Take a moment to let that sink in. These were individuals facing one of life's most difficult trials, yet they found relief, lightness, and even strength through something as basic as laughing. If it worked for them, what's stopping us? So, how do you actually bring more laughter into your daily life? Start small. Don't wait for the perfect stand-up routine, a hilarious movie night, or some grand comedic moment. Look for humor in the little things. Laugh at your own clumsy moments. Chuckle at how bizarre or ironic life can be sometimes. Giggle at those awkward autocorrect fails in your group chat. Even if it's just a half-hearted smile at a silly meme, let yourself feel it. The secret isn't in the source of the laughter, but in your willingness to engage with it. The more you laugh, even briefly, the more you're training your brain to search for the good, the light, the joyful, instead of fixating on stress or frustration. Let's paint a picture. You're stuck in traffic. You're running late. The cars aren't moving. The clock is ticking. You could fume, curse, and let stress eat you alive. Or you could take a breath, shake your head at the ridiculousness, put on a funny podcast, and remember that this moment too will pass. Sure, laughter won't teleport you out of gridlock, but it will help you reclaim your calm, your energy, and your mood. Because laughter isn't just background noise or something to fill silences. It's a tool, a skill you can sharpen. And the best part? It doesn't take much, just a few minutes of genuine laughter a day can have lasting effects on your mood, immune system, and overall health. So the next time the world feels a bit too heavy, remind yourself, laughter is a choice, a reset button, a way to lift some of that emotional weight, even if only for a moment. As the old saying goes, laughter is the best medicine. And yes, even when it feels like there's nothing to smile about, never underestimate what one good laugh can do. Now, while laughter feeds your soul from the inside, there's something else your body and mind have been craving, often without you even realizing it. Let's talk about something just as powerful, getting outside and reconnecting with nature. So after discovering how laughter can reset your mood and rewire your perspective, let's shift to another powerful source of healing, one that's been right outside your door all along. Nature. The Stoics, those ancient masters of wisdom, believed deeply in aligning ourselves with the natural world. In fact, one of the core tenets of Stoicism is exactly that, living in harmony with nature. As the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once reflected, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Think about that. Nature flows at its own rhythm, not rushed, not forced. And yet, everything gets done. Seasons change. Flowers bloom. Rivers carve through stone. When we learn to align ourselves with that gentle, steady rhythm, life feels more balanced, more grounded, more peaceful. But here's the challenge. How do we reconnect with nature when our modern lives seem carefully designed to keep us away from it? Start small. Start with the simple act of stepping outside. It might sound almost too basic, but don't underestimate its power. Whether it's a walk in the park, a moment by the beach, or even sitting quietly in your own backyard, being in nature has profound effects on both your mental and physical health. Research consistently backs this up. Dozens of studies have shown that time spent outdoors can lower stress, improve mood, enhance creativity, and even sharpen focus. One study published in Environmental Health Perspectives revealed something incredible. Just 20 minutes in a natural setting, surrounded by trees, sunlight, fresh air, is enough to significantly reduce cortisol levels, the hormone responsible for stress. That's right. 20 minutes outside can be more effective than many relaxation techniques people rely on. It's no coincidence that people who live near green spaces, like parks or forests, often report better physical health and higher levels of happiness than those who live in crowded, concrete-heavy cities. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds great, but I'm too busy. Or, I live in a dense city. Where would I even find nature? Here's the good news. Reconnecting with nature doesn't mean packing up for a week-long camping trip. Though if you can do that, go for it. It can be as simple as taking a short walk around your block, sitting on a park bench, and just being for 5 quiet minutes. Opening your windows and letting fresh air and natural light in. Finding one tree, one patch of sky, one gentle breeze, and pausing long enough to notice it. The goal here is simple. Break the cycle of indoor living. Give your mind and body space to reset. In Japan, there's a beautiful practice called Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, the intentional act of spending time in forests to promote health and well-being, and it works. Studies have found that forest bathing can lower blood pressure, boost immune function, and increase energy levels. But here's the beautiful part. You don't need to be deep in a forest to feel the effects. Being surrounded by natural elements, even just a few trees, a patch of green, or the sound of running water, can offer similar benefits. When was the last time you truly felt connected to the earth? When did you last notice the rustling of leaves, the warmth of sunlight, or the smell of fresh-cut grass? These may seem like small things, but they anchor us. They remind us that life is more than deadlines and screens. Nature gently puts our problems in perspective, reminding us of how vast and beautiful the world really is. And speaking of daily rhythms that nourish our body and mind, there's one more simple shift you can make, right at the very start of your day, that could transform your energy and outlook. Let's talk about the power of waking up early. So next time life feels overwhelming, remember this. The answer might be as simple as stepping outside and letting the world remind you of its natural rhythm and yours. Because when you're standing beneath a tree that stood tall for centuries, how heavy can your problems really feel? Let's not forget, the physical benefits of being outdoors are just as powerful as the emotional ones. The simple act of walking in green spaces, whether it's a park, forest trail, or even a quiet street lined with trees, has been scientifically linked to reduced levels of depression, anxiety, and even chronic pain. According to research from Stanford University, walking in nature does more than move your body. It calms your mind. One of their studies showed that spending time outdoors significantly lowers rumination, those looping negative thoughts that often fuel mental health struggles like anxiety and depression. So when you take that walk outside, you're not just exercising. You're giving your mind space. You're letting your brain breathe. The Stoics understood this deeply. To them, nature wasn't just scenery, it was a teacher. They believed that spending time in the natural world was essential for inner balance. Why? Because nature embodies patience, resilience, and acceptance, the very traits we often need most in difficult times. Step outside, and you'll witness life unfolding in its own time. The seasons change, trees shed and grow anew, rivers flow, even if slowly. Nothing is rushed, and yet everything gets done. It's a powerful reminder that we too can move through life at a gentler pace and still find our way. So how do you begin to reconnect with nature? Even if you live in the middle of a busy city, you start small. Take 5 or 10 minutes each day to simply step outside, breathe in the air, look up at the sky, feel the ground beneath your feet. If there's a park nearby, walk through it. If you're surrounded by buildings, find a rooftop, balcony, or a quiet corner where you can pause and reset. Even opening a window to let in fresh air and natural light can shift your energy. The key is consistency. Make it a daily habit, something you look forward to, not something you have to do. And here's what happens when you do. The more time you spend in nature, the more you begin to crave it. You'll start noticing things you used to overlook. The way sunlight dances through the leaves, the call of birds just after dawn, the soft crunch of grass beneath your feet. These seemingly small moments can bring a kind of quiet joy and inner calm that's hard to find anywhere else. In the end, nature isn't just a backdrop to our hectic lives. It's a powerful force for balance and healing, one that both ancient wisdom and modern science fully support. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, distracted, or disconnected, try this. Step outside, look around, and let nature do what it's always done, help you come back to yourself. Now that we've talked about aligning with nature's rhythm, let's bring that rhythm into our daily routine, starting with how we greet the day. Let's talk about the surprising power of becoming a morning person. So, as we've seen, aligning your life with nature's rhythm can help you feel more balanced, less stressed, and more connected. But what if you could bring that same natural rhythm into your daily routine, starting with the very first moments of your day? That's where the power of becoming a morning person comes in. Now, mornings often get a bad reputation. Let's be honest. For many people, waking up early feels more like punishment than a privilege. The alarm blares. You're pulled from the warmth of your bed. All you want to do is hit snooze and drift back into sleep. And honestly, who could blame you? Modern life has trained us to stay up late, binging shows, scrolling endlessly, squeezing every drop of relaxation from the night. But what if we've been looking at mornings all wrong? The Stoics certainly thought so. They believed that mornings weren't just another beginning to another set of duties. They were an opportunity, a chance to wake up not just to the day ahead, but to your purpose. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work.' As a human being, what do I have to complain of if I'm about to do what I was born for?" That quote captures the heart of the Stoic mindset. Mornings are sacred. They represent clarity, intention, and the ability to live deliberately before the noise of the world kicks in. And science backs this up. Multiple studies have shown that people who wake up early tend to be more optimistic, more proactive, and less prone to stress. One notable study from the University of Toronto found that early risers reported higher levels of positive emotions, greater life satisfaction, and even better long-term health. They were also at lower risk for conditions like obesity and depression. In short, waking up early isn't just a productivity hack. It's a powerful way to support both your mental clarity and physical well-being. But what makes early mornings so different? It's the quiet. When you rise before the world stirs, you enter a space that's untouched by notifications, demands, or distractions. There are no emails to answer, no meetings, just you, your breath, and time. Time to think, time to reflect, time to be. You can use this space however you need: journaling, stretching, meditating, planning your day, or simply sipping coffee while the world slowly wakes up around you. That stillness becomes a kind of sanctuary, a place where your thoughts are clearest and your energy isn't yet pulled in 10 directions. Another reason why early rising feels so powerful is because it aligns with your circadian rhythm, your body's natural clock. When you go to bed earlier and rise with the sun, you're syncing with a biological rhythm designed to optimize your energy, sleep quality, and mood. And no, becoming a morning person doesn't mean you have to wake up at 5 a.m. starting tomorrow. The key is to adjust gradually. Try shifting your bedtime 15 minutes earlier and waking up just a bit earlier too. Do it consistently, and over time, your body and mind will adapt. What once felt like a chore will start to feel like a gift. And what do you do with this extra time? This is where the transformation happens. You finally have space to focus on the things that matter, but that always seem to get pushed aside later in the day. Your well-being, your mindset, your goals. Whether it's a morning run, a quiet meditation, or a moment of deep thought, these early hours belong to you. The Stoics valued this deeply. They believed in starting the day with reflection and clarity. As Seneca wisely said, "The mind must be given relaxation. It will rise improved and sharper after a good break." And here's a practical tip. If you want to make mornings easier, give yourself something to look forward to when you wake up. It doesn't need to be big or dramatic. In fact, sometimes it's the smallest things, the comforting rituals, that give mornings their magic. Let's explore how creating a meaningful morning routine can anchor your entire day. So, waking up early isn't just about getting out of bed. It's about starting your day with purpose. And one of the best ways to make those early hours something you actually look forward to is to fill them with things that bring you joy. It doesn't have to be anything grand. Maybe it's the quiet comfort of a warm breakfast, a short walk through your neighborhood as the world slowly stirs, awake, or the peaceful ritual of reading a few pages from a book you love. When you have something positive waiting for you in the morning, no matter how small, those early hours begin to feel less like a chore and more like a reward. Of course, mornings can be tough at first. You might feel groggy, sluggish, or question why you even started this change. But like any new habit, if you stick with it, your body will adjust. And once it does, the benefits speak for themselves. You'll begin to notice it. More energy, more clarity, a calmer start to your day. Instead of being thrown into the chaos, you'll feel like you're leading it. That sense of control alone can drastically reduce daily stress. And here's a bonus benefit: time. When you wake up early, you give yourself a head start. You're no longer rushing, scrambling, or reacting to the day. You're preparing for it. You have space to plan, think, even handle unexpected problems, all before the rest of the world gets moving. That proactive mindset makes all the difference. You're not playing catch-up, you're in control. But here's the important part. Becoming a morning person isn't about perfection. It's not about following a rigid military-style schedule. It's about making room in your day for the things that truly matter to you. Waking up early is a gift of time. Time to reflect, time to move slowly, time to reconnect with your thoughts before the demands of the world pour in. So tomorrow morning, when that alarm buzzes, try this. Instead of hitting snooze, pause, breathe, and step into the quiet power of a day that starts on your terms. Because once you reclaim your mornings, the next step becomes even more powerful, learning how to fill your days with meaning, not just with busyness. Let's explore how to pack your time with intention and why the Stoics believed every hour should count. Now that you've reclaimed your mornings and started each day with intention, the next step is just as crucial: learning to fill your time with purpose, not just activity. The Stoics warned us about one of life's most subtle traps: wasted time. Seneca, in particular, believed that time wasn't short, we just didn't use it well. And he was right. Time, once gone, is the one thing we can never get back. That's why they argued we should invest our time, not just spend it. Spend it on the things that nourish your mind, care for your body, and strengthen your relationships. Because that's how we build a life that's rich with meaning. Modern research echoes this wisdom. Studies have shown that people who plan their days tend to feel more satisfied with how they use their time. In a study published by the Journal of Experimental Psychology, researchers found that those who engaged in goal setting and daily planning reported higher levels of happiness, along with a greater sense of control over their lives. And that makes sense, doesn't it? When you have a clear direction, when you know what you want to accomplish, it's easier to stay focused, motivated, and present. You're no longer drifting through your day. You're driving it. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean turning your life into a rigid, color-coded calendar. The goal isn't to fill every hour with back-to-back tasks. In fact, overscheduling can quickly lead to burnout, which is the opposite of what we're trying to create. Instead, think of it as finding balance. By planning your day with intention, you actually give yourself more freedom, not less. You make space for spontaneity, for moments of peace, and for the things that genuinely matter to you. So where do you start? Start by reflecting. Step back and ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What activities bring me joy, fulfillment, or a sense of progress? What have I been meaning to do, but keep putting off? Maybe it's spending time with your kids. Maybe it's finally working on that passion project, or getting consistent with exercise, or learning something new. Whatever it is, prioritize it. Write it down, schedule it into your day, and treat it with the same level of importance you'd give a work meeting or doctor's appointment. One helpful method is to break your day into chunks. For example, dedicate your morning, when your mind is freshest, to your most important or demanding tasks. Use your afternoon for creative work, conversations, or lighter activities. By structuring your day this way, you make space for both productivity and joy. Another simple but powerful tip: set small, achievable goals each day. They don't need to be huge. Even something as basic as going for a walk, reading for 20 minutes, or calling a friend can give your day meaning and boost your sense of progress. What matters is that your daily actions reflect your values, that they move you closer to who you want to become. The Stoics believed that every single day was an opportunity for growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "At day's first light, have in readiness, against disinclination to leave your bed, the thought, I am rising to do the work of a human being. To them, waking up wasn't just about starting the day, it was about rising with purpose, to become better, wiser, more fulfilled. And yes, not every day will go to plan. There will be disruptions, delays, days when your carefully crafted schedule is thrown off course. And that's okay. That's the beauty of Stoicism. It reminds us to accept what we cannot control and adapt with grace. If your day takes any unexpected turn, don't beat yourself up. Just reset, adjust, do what you can with the time that remains. Because in the end, this isn't about staying busy. It's about staying mindful, about choosing to fill your days with meaning, not just motion, with progress, not just pressure. And when you do that, something powerful happens. Time no longer feels like it's slipping through your fingers. Instead, it begins to feel full, rich, and deeply lived. So ask yourself honestly, are you spending your time with intention or letting it slip away in a fog of distractions? Because time, as the Stoics often reminded us, is one of our most precious resources. And when we choose to use it wisely, on what matters, on what fulfills us, our days begin to feel fuller, richer, and more satisfying. As Marcus Aurelius once said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. 5. Don't quit on what you love. Now let's talk about something a little more personal, those dreams, passions, and pursuits that once lit you up inside. How many times have you considered giving up on something you love, just because it got hard? Maybe it was a creative project, a hobby that used to bring you joy, or even a career path that once filled you with purpose. But somewhere along the way, life got busy, challenges piled up, and you started wondering if it was worth continuing. That feeling? It's more common than you think. But here's what we often forget. Giving up on what you love isn't just about dropping a hobby. It's about abandoning a part of yourself, a source of joy, growth, and deep personal fulfillment. The Stoics had a lot to say about this. To them, life wasn't supposed to be easy. It was filled with difficulty, uncertainty, and resistance. But the key to a meaningful life wasn't to avoid challenges. It was to push through them. Seneca put it best. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare that they are difficult. Let that sink in. Sometimes the obstacle isn't the mountain. It's the hesitation inside us to keep climbing. So why do we so often quit the things we love? Usually, it's not because we stop caring. It's because we start feeling discouraged. Maybe progress feels slow. Maybe we hit a plateau. Or maybe the world around us, obsessed with instant results, makes us feel like we're falling behind. But the truth is, anything worthwhile takes time. It takes consistency, effort, grit, and yes, sometimes a whole lot of patience. The Stoics would remind us that the path to fulfillment isn't straight or smooth. It's winding, unpredictable, and often steep. But that's exactly what makes it transformative. Think back to something you stuck with, even when it was hard. Learning an instrument, finishing a big project, training for something physical or creative. Remember those moments you wanted to give up? The doubt, the frustration, and now remember how it felt when you finally broke through, when you hit your stride, when you finished. That wasn't just success, that was growth. Perseverance teaches you things no shortcut ever could. Patience, resilience, discipline. These are the building blocks of a meaningful life. And there's science behind it too. According to research published in the Journal of Positive Psychology, people who regularly engage in passion-driven activities report greater well-being, lower stress, and a stronger sense of purpose. Why? Because when you're doing something you love, you're fueled by intrinsic motivation. You're not doing it to impress anyone. You're doing it because it matters to you, because it brings you alive. Unfortunately, we've come to believe that if something isn't easy, it isn't meant to be. But the Stoics and real life show us the opposite. They believe that struggle is not the enemy, it's the path. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That quote is more than just poetic. It's powerful. It means the obstacle itself is the teacher. The challenge you're facing isn't a wall. It's a doorway. Every setback, every difficulty is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, more capable. So how do you keep going when it feels like giving up would be easier? Start by reconnecting to your why. What drew you to this path in the first place? What made your heart beat faster when you started? Was it the excitement of creating, the sense of purpose, the joy of learning something new? Sometimes we lose sight of that spark, and all we need to do is remember. So when the road gets tough and you're tempted to walk away from something you once loved, pause, reconnect to why you started, and remember that growth often hides in the struggle. Yes, there will be days when the grind wears you down, days when frustration clouds your vision and you start questioning if it's all worth it. But when you take a moment to remind yourself of the joy that comes from doing what you love, even just a sliver of that joy, pushing through the tough parts becomes a little easier. Another important truth: progress rarely looks the way we expect it to. We live in a world that celebrates instant results, quick wins, overnight success, highlight reels. But real progress? It's quiet, subtle, sometimes invisible, at least at first. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed in focusing on the process, not the outcome. Because the truth is, we can't always control results, but we can control how we show up, how much effort we give, how willing we are to return to the work again and again. Instead of obsessing over whether you're succeeding in the conventional sense, focus on showing up, on doing the work, on being present in the practice. The progress will come, maybe slowly, maybe unexpectedly, but it will come. Think of it like planting a tree. In the beginning, there's no sign of growth. The soil looks the same. You might even wonder if your effort is making any difference. But beneath the surface, something important is happening. Roots are forming. They're spreading deep and wide, building the foundation that will one day support a strong, tall tree. The same goes for your passions. That work you're doing today, even if it feels small or unseen, is laying down roots. It's building something solid for the future. Of course, quitting will always feel easier in the moment, especially when you're exhausted, overwhelmed, or filled with self-doubt. But before you give in, ask yourself, will I regret walking away? More often than not, the answer is yes. Because the things we love, they don't just disappear when we quit. They linger, they echo. And so does the question, what if I had kept going? The Stoics would say that this kind of regret, the kind rooted in giving up too soon, is far more painful than the discomfort of persevering. So what do you do when it all feels like too much? You zoom in, break the challenge into smaller, manageable parts. Stop staring at the entire staircase. Just focus on the next step. What's one small thing you can do today? Practice for 10 minutes. Write a single paragraph. Make one call. Complete one small task. When you focus on these small wins, you build momentum. You remind yourself that progress is happening, even if it's slow. And over time, those little steps add up to something much greater. And here's something we often forget. Doing what you love is a privilege. Not everyone has the opportunity to pursue their passion. If you do, hold on to it. Honor it. Even when it gets hard. The Stoics believed that life was not just about survival. It was about thriving, about growing, about becoming the best version of yourself. And that only happens when you stay on the path. when you keep going, even when it's uphill. So whatever it is that lights you up, music, writing, building, serving, exploring, don't give up on it. Keep showing up, keep learning, keep daring. Because as Seneca reminds us, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare that they are difficult. Dare to stay in it. Dare to keep moving forward. And you'll find that the rewards, the growth, the fulfillment, the meaning are so much greater than the obstacles ever were. And once you've committed to doing what you love, there's one more habit that amplifies everything. A practice that doesn't take time, but gives it back in return. Kindness. Let's talk about its quiet power. So once you've committed to not giving up on what you love, even when it's hard, there's something else you can do that multiplies your impact on the world and brings unexpected joy back into your own life. Practice kindness. The truth is, kindness is one of the most powerful tools we have, not just for lifting others up, but for transforming our own perspective and happiness. It might seem small, simple, easy to overlook, but choosing to be kind, especially when you don't have to, can shift the energy in a room, calm a tense situation, or brighten a stranger's entire day. And the Stoics understood this deeply. Despite their reputation for self-discipline and emotional control, they were also passionate advocates for compassion and empathy. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "Kindness is invincible, but only when it's sincere, with no hypocrisy or faking." That line says it all. True kindness isn't performative. It's not about looking good or winning praise. It's about moving through the world with a genuine intention to do good, not because it's easy, but because it's right. And here's the beauty of it. When you choose to be kind, no one can take that away from you. It's a quiet strength, not a weakness. It gives you power over your own attitude, no matter what's happening around you. So why is kindness so powerful? For one, it's contagious. A kind word, a thoughtful gesture, even a smile, they ripple outward. Maybe you help someone carry their groceries, compliment a coworker, or show patience instead of anger in a frustrating moment. That act of kindness lifts their mood, and research shows they're then more likely to pass that kindness on. This is known as the kindness contagion effect, and it's backed by science. A study from UCLA found that kindness has measurable benefits for both the giver and the receiver. People who perform acts of kindness report improved mood, reduced stress, and even better physical health. At the same time, those who receive kindness often feel more grateful, happier, and more connected, improving not just their day, but their relationships and overall well-being. And here's the best part. Kindness is a habit, and anyone can build it. It doesn't take much time. It doesn't require money, and the return on investment is massive. The Stoics believed that being kind wasn't optional. It was a moral duty. They saw all people as part of a shared human family, connected by a universal bond. Epictetus put it beautifully. We are all brothers and sisters by nature. Our bodies and souls are bound together by a shared divine spark. In other words, kindness isn't just something you offer to your friends or people you like. It's a way of honoring our shared humanity. So how do we practice kindness more intentionally? It starts with awareness. We all have moments when we're tired, distracted, or stressed. And in those moments, it's easy to ignore others, be short-tempered, or miss a chance to help. But if you slow down, even just a little, you'll start to notice those opportunities. And they're everywhere. Let's say someone cuts you off in traffic or is rude to you in line at the store. Your instinct might be irritation or anger. But what if instead you paused and chose kindness? What if you let it go? What if you smiled instead of snapping back? The Stoics taught that we can't control how others behave, but we can always control how we respond. Choosing kindness in these small, tense moments not only de-escalates the situation, it also helps you stay calm, grounded, and in control. Another way to make kindness part of your life is to actively seek out small ways to help, even when no one's watching. It could be as simple as holding the door, offering your seat, or checking in on someone who's had a tough day. Because in the end, kindness isn't a grand performance. It's a quiet, powerful way of being. And as we'll see next, when you combine kindness with presence, the ability to fully engage in the moment, life becomes more meaningful than you might ever expect. So as we've just seen, kindness isn't weakness. It's a quiet kind of strength, a way of making the world better, starting with your next small gesture. Whether it's holding the door open for someone, helping a neighbor with their groceries, or sending a quick message to check in on a friend, these small acts matter. They may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, they add up. Like drops filling a bucket, each kind choice becomes part of a life that feels warmer, more connected, and more meaningful. And here's the best part. The more you practice kindness, the better you feel. Science backs this up in a big way. Acts of kindness have been shown to trigger the release of oxytocin, often called the love hormone. Oxytocin not only makes us feel more connected to others, but it also helps lower blood pressure, reduce stress, and generate a sense of emotional calm and belonging. The Stoics weren't just advocates of kindness. They were also huge believers in gratitude, which naturally grows from kindness. When you treat others with compassion, you begin to see the good that already exists in your own life. It's a gentle reminder that no matter how heavy your burdens might feel, there's always something or someone you can lift up. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic thinkers, once said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." What a powerful thought. It means that in every situation, every interaction, we have a choice. A choice to make someone else's day a little better. A choice to be the reason someone smiles, even if just for a moment. But let's be clear, being kind doesn't mean being a pushover. The Stoics were also strong advocates for boundaries and self-respect. True kindness, the kind that matters, comes from a place of confidence, not submission. It's about choosing to act with integrity and compassion without expecting anything in return. It's about doing the right thing because it aligns with who you are, not because someone's watching or rewarding you. And that's what makes kindness so powerful. Because no matter what's happening in the world, no matter how chaotic or harsh things might feel, kindness is always within your control. It becomes a way to reclaim your power, to say, "I choose to respond with heart. I choose to rise above." And that impact, it doesn't just affect those around you, it transforms you. By choosing kindness again and again, you build a life filled with more joy, connection, and inner peace. So as you move through your day, remember this: every conversation, every passing interaction, every shared space is an opportunity to lift someone up, to lighten the load, to create warmth where there might have been cold. And as Marcus Aurelius once said, when you arise, in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love, and to be kind. With that mindset, you'll find life opens up in beautiful ways, especially when you're willing to embrace something just as powerful, saying yes more often. Ready to explore that next step? After embracing the power of kindness toward others and yourself, there's another small shift that can unlock new joy and growth in your life. Saying yes more often. Let's be real. Stepping outside your comfort zone can feel uncomfortable, even scary. We get used to the familiar, so the predictable routines, the safe choices. It feels easier to stay within the lines we've drawn for ourselves. But here's the thing. Growth rarely happens inside those comfort zones. The Stoics knew this well. They believed that discomfort isn't something to avoid. It's something to accept, even embrace, because it's a necessary part of living a fuller, more meaningful life. When you start saying yes more often, even when you feel unsure, you open the door to learning, growing, and experiencing life in ways you never could from the sidelines. Think back for a moment. Can you remember the last time you said no to something? Not because it truly didn't align with your values, but because it felt a little awkward or uncertain. Maybe it was an invitation to a gathering where you didn't know many people, or a chance to try a new hobby, like painting, dancing, or joining a class. Or maybe it was a career opportunity that felt just a bit too big at the time. What might have happened if you'd said yes? You might have met someone new, learned something about yourself, or at the very least, ended the day with a story to tell, one that added color and texture to your life. The truth is, saying yes creates possibilities. No keeps things safe, but yes invites the unknown, and sometimes, the unknown is exactly where the magic is. There's also real science behind this. Studies have shown that when you try something new, something that activates curiosity or brings novelty, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical associated with pleasure, motivation, and reward. In other words, just the act of stepping outside your usual routine can boost your mood, increase your motivation, and make you feel more alive. So, no, this isn't about saying yes to everything. Boundaries matter. It's still important to protect your energy and stay aligned with your values. But ask yourself this: are you turning things down because they're wrong for you, or just because they're unfamiliar? Because they challenge you to grow? Because they stretch your identity just a little too far? If you find yourself saying no out of habit, hesitation, or fear, it might be time to reconsider. Opportunities don't always knock twice. Some windows open briefly and then close forever. And the moments we remember most, the ones that shaped us, they often begin with a single brave yes. The Stoics believed in meeting life with openness and curiosity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, in his Meditations, "Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look." That's a reminder. You are far more capable, more resilient, and more courageous than you give yourself credit for. Every time you say yes to something new, you're not just adding an experience. You're tapping into that inner strength. You're proving to yourself that you're ready for more. And saying yes doesn't just transform your personal growth. It can also breathe life into your relationships. How many times have you turned down a simple invitation from a friend or family member? Not because you didn't care, but because you were tired, busy, or just not in the mood. We all need rest. But constant no's can quietly build distance. They create space between you and the people who matter most. So, by saying yes more often, to new opportunities, to people, to growth, you open the door to experiences that not only shape you, but also strengthen the relationships that matter most. Because the truth is, relationships thrive on shared experiences. Every time you say yes to spending time with others, even when it feels a little awkward or inconvenient, you're building connection. You're creating memories that last. You're reinforcing bonds that bring depth and meaning to your life. Picture this. Your friend invites you to a social gathering. You don't know anyone else who'll be there. Your instinct? Politely decline. Stay in. Avoid the small talk and awkward introductions. But what if, just this once, you said yes? Maybe you meet someone new. Maybe you discover a shared interest, a surprising conversation, or a much-needed laugh. Or maybe, at the very least, you just enjoy a refreshing change of pace. The point is, you'll never know what's possible unless you show up and give it a chance. And this applies far beyond social events. In your work, your creativity, even your personal goals. Opportunities arise all the time. A new project, a chance to collaborate, an invitation to learn something new. And yes, it might feel like too much, too risky, too far outside what you're used to. But the Stoics would challenge that fear. They believed adversity isn't an obstacle. It's a mirror. It shows you who you really are. As Epictetus said, difficulties are things that show a person what they are. When you say yes to challenges, you're giving yourself the chance to grow, to adapt, to build confidence and discover new strengths. you didn't know you had. Of course, saying yes doesn't guarantee smooth sailing. You might attend an event and feel out of place. You might try a new skill and fail at first. But according to the Stoics, that's okay. The outcome isn't the most important part. The effort is. Because each time you say yes, you're showing up for your life. You're choosing action over avoidance, growth over comfort, adventure over stagnation, and over time, that mindset builds real confidence. Every time you step outside your comfort zone, you prove to yourself that you can handle the unfamiliar, that you're capable of navigating uncertainty, that failure doesn't break you, it builds you. With every yes, you gain something, a lesson, a memory, a new direction, and gradually, you'll find yourself saying yes more easily, more often, and with more excitement than fear. In the end, saying yes is about living fully. It's about stepping into the richness of life with all its uncertainty, challenge, and possibility. The Stoics believed life was meant to be engaged with, not avoided. That means taking risks, facing fears, welcoming the unknown with an open heart and a curious mind. So next time an opportunity comes your way, big or small, take a pause. Don't just default to no. Ask yourself, what might I gain from this? How could this help me grow? You may be surprised to find that one small yes could be the beginning of something truly meaningful. And speaking of engagement, let's talk about the one thing silently stealing our attention, presence, and peace of mind: our phones. Ready to unplug, even just for a moment? So if saying yes more often is a way to welcome life in, sometimes we also need to say no, especially to the things quietly pulling us away from the present moment. Let's talk about something we all do. You check your phone, just for a second. Maybe a quick scroll through social media, reply to a message, or sneak in a few minutes of a game. But before you know it, hours have passed. You've fallen into a digital fog, unaware of your surroundings, disconnected from the moment right in front of you. In today's hyper-connected world, our phones have practically become extensions of ourselves. And while technology has brought us convenience, connection, and endless entertainment, it's also taken something deeply valuable in return: our presence. We're constantly being pulled in a dozen directions by buzzing notifications, pings, group chats, news updates, and apps designed to keep us locked in. And in the process, we miss something irreplaceable: the now. The Stoics, of course, didn't live in the digital age, but they understood this dilemma better than we think. They taught that one of the greatest enemies of a meaningful life is distraction. Seneca once said, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." A simple line, but one with profound meaning. When our attention is scattered, we stop truly experiencing anything. And this is exactly what happens when we're glued to our screens. We tune out of real conversations. We overlook beauty in small moments. We lose the stillness that leads to clarity, creativity, and calm. So why is it so hard to put the phone down? Because for many of us, our phones have become comfort objects, digital security blankets. They offer distraction when we're bored, validation when we're uncertain, and constant stimulation that drowns out silence. We check them reflexively. For the next update, the next like, the next dopamine hit. But the cost? Higher levels of stress, anxiety, sleepless nights. A study published in the Journal of Behavioral Addictions found a direct link between excessive smartphone use and increased anxiety, depression, and sleep disturbances. Our constant need to stay connected can actually make us feel more disconnected from ourselves, from others, and from life. The solution? Turn it off. As simple as that sounds, it's a radical act in today's world, but it's also an incredibly powerful one. By intentionally disconnecting, even for short periods, you give yourself a gift: uninterrupted time. Time to reflect, time to breathe, time to just be. You create space for thought, for presence, for joy. Call it a digital detox or a tech timeout. Whatever you name it, the idea is the same. Step away from the noise so you can hear yourself think again. This isn't about demonizing technology. Your phone isn't the enemy. It's a tool. But like any tool, it needs to be used with intention, not out of habit or dependency. So we've seen how turning off your phone can help you reclaim your attention, presence, and peace of mind. But it goes even deeper than that. It's also about taking back control. Let's be clear. Technology itself isn't the enemy. Smartphones are powerful, helpful tools that make modern life easier in countless ways, from navigation and communication to education and creativity. But the problem begins when that tool starts using us. The Stoics taught that we should always aim to control what's within our power, and that includes how we interact with technology. If your phone is dictating your time, energy, and focus, then it's no longer a tool. It's a leash. So what's the solution? Simple. Take back the reins. Instead of reacting to every buzz and ping, decide intentionally when and how you want to use your phone. One of the most effective first steps is to set specific times during the day when you turn your phone completely off. Try it during meals, when you're with loved ones, or in the hour before bed. These small boundaries create space for something we don't get enough of these days: presence. You'll begin to notice things more: a smile, a taste, a moment of silence that feels like peace instead of awkwardness. And over time, these phone-free moments won't feel like a restriction. They'll become something you actually look forward to. A little break from the noise. A chance to reset, recharge, and simply be. Another powerful habit is to schedule intentional phone-free blocks into your day. They don't have to be long. Even 15 minutes without a screen, walking, journaling, or simply sitting still can do wonders. This isn't just about detoxing from distraction. It's about returning to yourself. The Stoics emphasize the value of solitude and reflection. They believed that time alone, away from the chatter of the world, was essential for developing clarity, strength, and inner peace. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Turning off your phone helps you access that inner retreat. It's not just silence. It's space. Space to think, to breathe, to reconnect. And it's not only your inner world that benefits. Your relationships will feel the difference too. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone who kept glancing at their phone? It doesn't feel great, does it? That moment, when someone chooses their screen over your presence, sends a message. You're not my priority right now. But when you put your phone away during conversations, you're sending a very different message. I see you. I'm here, with you. And that simple act of undivided attention can strengthen your relationships in ways you might not expect. Research supports this. A study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that just the presence of a phone on the table, even if it wasn't being used, significantly reduced the quality of social interactions. People reported feeling less connected, less engaged, and less satisfied with the conversation. But when phones were out of sight, the opposite happened. Deeper connection, more eye contact, more warmth. So by turning your phone off, or even just putting it away, you're not just improving your day. You're improving someone else's, too. And beyond relationships, there's another major benefit that often goes unnoticed: your productivity. So we've talked about how turning off your phone can boost your relationships, improve your sleep, and bring you back to the present. But there's another major benefit, one that affects how you show up in your work and daily responsibilities: your ability to focus. We often think that being constantly connected makes us more efficient, that responding to messages while working, toggling between emails and tasks, or checking social media just for a second helps us stay in control. But the truth is, multitasking actually makes us less productive. When we constantly switch between tasks, like checking our phone while trying to focus on a project, our brains need time to recalibrate. That back and forth drains our mental energy and slows us down far more than we realize. Instead of getting more done, we do less, and we do it worse. That's why one of the most effective ways to improve your work quality and your sense of accomplishment is also one of the simplest. Turn off your phone during focused work. When you eliminate those digital distractions, your mind can settle. You enter what's called a flow state, a zone where time feels suspended, ideas come more easily, and you're fully immersed in what you're doing. The result? Better work, deeper focus, and a sense of satisfaction that multitasking can never deliver. And it's not just your productivity during the day that benefits, it's your rest at night too. One of the biggest culprits of poor sleep today is screen time, especially in the hour before bed. The blue light from your phone or tablet disrupts your body's production of melatonin, the hormone that tells your brain it's time to wind down. Studies have consistently shown that people who use their phones right before sleep experience longer time falling asleep, poorer sleep quality, and more fatigue the next day. So, if you want deeper, more restful sleep, try this. Turn off your phone at least 30 minutes before bed. Let your mind ease into rest without bright screens, updates, or endless scrolling. This simple habit can dramatically improve how you feel in the morning. Clearer, calmer, more refreshed. In the end, turning off your phone isn't about rejecting technology. It's about using it on your terms. The Stoics believed that presence, discipline, and mindfulness were the foundations of a good life. Choosing when and how to engage with your phone is a perfect modern practice of that ancient wisdom. So the next time your screen is calling you, with its updates, alerts, and infinite scroll, take a breath. Pause. Turn it off, even just for a little while, and reconnect with your task, your space, the people around you, or simply your own breath. You may be surprised at how much lighter, clearer, and more peaceful life feels without the constant buzz in your pocket. So, if turning off your phone gives your mind space to breathe, then taking intentional breaks, both small and extended, is how you recharge your energy and reclaim your creativity. Let's start simple. We've all had those days when we push through hours of work without stopping, thinking that non-stop effort equals productivity. But research tells a different story. Our brains aren't wired to focus for long, uninterrupted stretches. In fact, studies show that after about 90 minutes of continuous work, our cognitive function starts to decline. We become slower, less creative, and more prone to mistakes. That's where short breaks come in, not as a distraction, but as a performance tool. Even stepping away for 5 to 10 minutes can reset your mental state. Whether you stretch, grab a glass of water, or simply look out the window, that pause helps your brain recover and prepares you to come back stronger. And it's not just about boosting focus, it's about your mood, too. A study from the University of Illinois found that taking brief breaks during mentally demanding tasks not only improved performance, but also reduced mental fatigue. Want to amplify the effect? Add movement. Take a quick walk. Step outside for fresh air. Do a few light stretches. These simple actions can improve blood flow, reduce stress, and lift your energy, giving you a real second wind. The Stoics, despite their reputation for toughness and discipline, would absolutely agree. They believed in tuning into your body and its natural rhythms, not ignoring them. To live a balanced life, they argued, you have to care for your physical and mental well-being alike. And that brings us to something even bigger than a quick break, taking a real vacation. Now, let's be honest, vacations are often viewed as a luxury, something nice, but not necessary. But that's a mistake. A well-timed getaway, whether it's a full-blown vacation or just a weekend retreat, isn't indulgent. It's essential. When you step away from your daily responsibilities and routines, you create space to fully reset, and the science backs this up. Studies have shown that vacations significantly reduce stress, improve mental health, and increase overall productivity upon return. According to the Journal of Happiness Studies, people who take vacations report higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction, not just during their trip, but long after it ends. And this isn't just about short-term mood boosts. People who take regular vacations tend to experience less burnout, lower stress, and better physical health in the long run. But here's the Stoic twist. Taking a break isn't about escaping your problems. It's about restoring yourself, so you can face life more clearly and calmly. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, often retreated to nature for quiet reflection. He didn't do it to avoid his duties. He did it to reconnect with himself, so he could return wiser, steadier, and more focused. The Stoics saw rest as a responsibility, not a reward. So what does this mean for you? It means that whether it's a short walk during the day, a weekend, away, or a long overdue vacation, taking breaks isn't optional. It's vital. If you've been feeling stretched thin, emotionally drained, or creatively stuck, maybe it's not because you're doing too little. Maybe it's because you haven't given yourself permission to pause. So, if the Stoics taught us anything about rest, it's this. Taking time to recharge isn't laziness, it's wisdom. And sometimes, in those quiet pauses, we return to ourselves, stronger than before. Rest doesn't always have to mean a grand retreat or a plane ticket across the world. Sometimes, it starts with the simplest act, giving yourself permission. Permission to pause, to breathe, to stretch, to step away from the pressure, even if only for a few minutes. It could mean planning a vacation to break out of your usual environment, or simply setting aside 5 minutes between tasks to check in with yourself. Let's keep it practical. Start by building micro breaks into your daily routine. Set a reminder to get up and move. Do a few light stretches. Step outside and feel the sun on your face. Or just close your eyes and take 5 deep, intentional breaths. These moments may seem small, almost trivial, but they are powerful. Over time, they add up. They improve your focus, reduce your stress, and give you a greater sense of clarity and calm. And when it comes to vacations, don't wait until you're completely burnt out to take one. Plan them proactively. Even short trips can make a big difference. You don't need to fly to an exotic island. Sometimes a road trip, a weekend hike, a camping getaway, or even a staycation with your phone off and your soul tuned in can provide the reset you didn't know you needed. The key is this: disconnect from your daily responsibilities. Let your mind and body truly unwind. And here's another bonus. Travel doesn't just give your brain a break, it broadens your perspective. When you visit new places, meet new people, or explore unfamiliar cultures, you expose yourself to different ways of thinking and living. This isn't just refreshing, it's transformative. The Stoics valued this kind of growth. They believed in seeking wisdom through experience and understanding the world beyond one's own limited view. So when you travel, you're not only relaxing, you're evolving. You return home with fresh insights, renewed creativity, and, often, a deepened sense of gratitude for the life you live. Of course, not everyone has the ability to travel far or often, and that's okay. The Stoics also taught that it's not the length of the break that matters, but the quality. Even a short, mindful pause can be deeply restorative, as long as you're truly present. It's not about escaping your life. It's about returning to it more aligned and energized. In the end, never underestimate the power of rest. The Stoics understood that a balanced life isn't just about action and ambition. It's also about knowing when to stop, breathe, and restore. By taking breaks and planning moments to get away, you're not just relaxing, you're investing in your long-term health, clarity, and joy. So next time you feel stretched thin or overwhelmed, remind yourself, taking a break isn't weakness. It's a choice made by someone who values sustainability, peace of mind, and a well-lived life. So while taking time to rest and reset helps recharge your mind, there's something else that fills your heart. And that's the time you share with the people who matter most. Whether it's reconnecting with family over dinner, catching up with old friends, or meeting someone new who brings fresh energy into your life. Relationships are what give life its deepest meaning. Yet, in the fast-paced swirl of modern life, they're often the first thing we neglect. We get caught up in deadlines, goals, and personal growth. We scroll through our feeds instead of picking up the phone. We tell ourselves, "I'll call them later. We'll catch up soon," but later doesn't always come, and soon can turn into never. The truth is, nurturing relationships is not optional if you want to live a happy, grounded, and truly fulfilling life. And the Stoics, though known for their discipline and inner strength, deeply understood the power of human connection. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and a Stoic, wrote in his Meditations, "Men exist for the sake of one another. Teach them then, or bear with them." That simple, yet profound line reminds us we're not meant to walk through life alone. We're here to support, to guide, to forgive, and to love, not just as a duty, but as a natural part of living well. Why do relationships matter so much? Because in the end, it's not the titles, the money, or even the personal accomplishments that define a rich life. It's the shared laughs, the late-night conversations, the shoulders we lean on when things get tough. Science agrees. Decades of research, including a famous Harvard study on adult development, found that strong social connections are the single biggest predictor of long-term happiness. Not wealth, not fame, not success, but relationships. People who maintain close ties to family, friends, and community experience less stress, better health, and even longer lives. But here's the key. It's not just about being around people. It's about being present with them. It's about nurturing those bonds, showing up, listening, sharing, laughing, being real. The Stoics emphasize this too. Seneca once wrote, "There is no enjoying the possession of anything valuable unless one has someone to share it with." That includes your victories and your struggles, your celebrations and your quiet days. When you have someone by your side to witness your life, to hold space for your joy and your pain, everything becomes more meaningful. Yet in our busy lives, relationships often fall to the bottom of the list. We prioritize work, hustle toward goals, fill our calendars with obligations, telling ourselves that we'll make time later. But as the Stoics would remind us, time is not guaranteed. One of the core teachings of Stoic philosophy is memento mori, the awareness of mortality. Not to dwell in fear, but to inspire us to live with urgency and intention. And that includes making time, now, for the people who matter. So, how do you start? You don't need grand gestures. It can be as simple as sending a message, picking up the phone, making plans, really listening. Even 5 undistracted minutes with someone you care about can mean more than hours of distracted presence. So, as we've just seen, the people in our lives are what make the journey meaningful. And nurturing those bonds starts with one simple yet powerful thing: showing up. Sometimes it really is that easy. A phone call to a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. A spontaneous dinner with your family. A text that says, "I've been thinking about you." These small gestures, the kind we so often delay, are the moments that hold relationships together. Even when it's inconvenient, even when you're tired, even when you feel like there's no time. Choosing to be there is a choice rooted in love and in Stoic wisdom. Because for the Stoics, relationships weren't just emotional luxuries. They were a natural and necessary part of human life. They believed that we are not meant to live in isolation, but in connection. To show kindness and care for others is, as they put it, to live in accordance with nature, in harmony with the interconnectedness of all things. And one of the most powerful ways you can nurture your relationships: be fully present. In today's world, being physically together doesn't always mean you're truly with someone. You can be at the same table and still miles apart, checking your phone, thinking about work, mentally ticking off tomorrow's to-do list. But presence, true presence, is rare, and when it's given, it's felt deeply. The Stoics taught that to live well is to live fully in each moment. That includes the moments shared with others. So, when you're with someone you care about, put the phone away, look them in the eye, listen without waiting to speak, laugh together, sit in silence. Just be there. It's in those simple, undistracted moments that bonds deepen, and so does your own sense of peace. Of course, relationships aren't always smooth. Even with the people we love most, there will be disagreements, misunderstandings, and tough conversations. But here again, Stoic wisdom shines through. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, often, to approach others with patience and empathy, especially when they were difficult. He believed that everyone is acting based on the knowledge and emotional tools they currently have. That doesn't mean accepting hurtful behavior, but it does mean approaching conflict with understanding, not judgment. When we remember that others are human, flawed, growing, and doing their best, we create space for healing, not just reaction. And there's another key piece. Don't just receive love, give it. The Stoics believed we each have a duty to contribute to the well-being of others, not just when it's convenient or when we get something in return, but as a way of living with integrity and purpose. Support someone who's going through a tough time. Offer encouragement, kindness, or simply a listening ear. These actions don't just strengthen your relationships, they give your own life deeper meaning. When we care for others, we create a ripple effect of compassion that extends far beyond that one moment. So how do you bring this into your life? Start small, make time, reach out, be the one who initiates, the one who checks in, the one who shows up. Whether it's a coffee with a friend, a walk with a loved one, or just a message saying, "I'm here if you need me." These are the things that build strong, lasting bonds. So whether it's a quick coffee with a friend or a long phone call with someone you love, prioritize these moments. They're the ones that stay in your heart long after the emails are answered, the deadlines are met, or the project is complete. When you spend time with others, make a conscious effort to be fully present. Listen with attention, speak with intention. Let go of distractions and truly engage. Because in the end, it's not about how much time you spend. It's about the quality of the connection you create in that time. In conclusion, if you want to live a joyful and meaningful life, relationships can't be an afterthought. They must be a priority. The Stoics knew this. They didn't just advocate for inner strength or personal discipline. They recognized that life is meant to be lived in connection. And now, centuries later, science confirms what they taught. Relationships are essential to well-being. While self-growth and achievement have their place, they're not enough on their own. True fulfillment also comes from the joy, support, and emotional depth we find in the people around us. Friends and family provide something no title or trophy ever could. A sense of belonging, a space to be seen, a reason to laugh, to share, to care. So make time. Reach out. Keep the bonds alive, even if it's just with a short message or a shared meal. And always remember the Stoic wisdom that we're here not just for ourselves, but for one another. As Seneca wisely put it, there is no enjoying the possession of anything valuable unless one has someone to share it with. So if sharing your time with others builds strong relationships, then offering your support, even in small, quiet ways, brings something even deeper, a true sense of purpose. Helping others isn't just a kind thing to do, it's a fundamental part of living a harmonious and meaningful life. From the Stoic perspective, and even through the lens of modern psychology, this idea holds powerful truth. Your well-being is deeply connected to the well-being of those around you. We often think of helping as a one-way street, something we give to others. But here's the reality. The act of helping also helps you. Why? Because when you offer your time, energy, or care to someone, whether it's a friend, a stranger, or someone in your family, you momentarily step outside of yourself. You take the focus off your own problems, your own worries, your inner loop of stress or overthinking. This doesn't make your challenges disappear, but it gives your mind a break. And more often than not, that break brings perspective. Suddenly, the thing that felt overwhelming starts to shrink. You begin to realize you're more capable, more grounded than you thought. Modern research backs this up. Numerous studies have shown that people who regularly help others, whether through volunteering, mentoring, or even everyday acts of kindness, experience lower levels of stress and anxiety. One study from the American Psychological Association found that those who engaged in acts of service reported higher life satisfaction, improved mental health, and a greater sense of emotional resilience. Why? Because helping others triggers your brain's reward system. It boosts the release of chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin, often called the feel-good and bonding hormones. This chemical cocktail uplifts your mood, soothes your nervous system, and makes you feel more connected, both to others and to yourself. In short, being generous is good for your brain and your heart. The Stoics understood this deeply. For them, virtue was the highest aim of human life, and acting in service of others was among the most virtuous things one could do. We may not be able to control everything in life, but we can control how we treat the people around us. We can choose compassion. We can choose generosity. We can choose to be the kind of person who lifts others up. This is what the Stoics called prosocial behavior, the conscious decision to act with kindness and integrity, not because you expect something in return, but because it aligns with your deeper values. And here's an important point. Helping others isn't always about big, dramatic gestures. So if helping others connects us to something larger than ourselves, what about the small, everyday gestures? Can they really have an impact? The Stoics believed, absolutely yes, the smallest act of kindness can leave an impression that lasts far beyond the moment. Seneca, in his personal letters, spoke frequently about the power of everyday virtue, how things as simple as listening without judgment, offering a piece of thoughtful advice, or patiently accepting someone's flaws can become meaningful contributions to a better world. These quiet moments of compassion don't just uplift the person receiving them, they ripple outward. A kind word can inspire more kindness. A gentle gesture can soften someone's hard day. Over time, these seemingly ordinary acts contribute to something extraordinary, a more compassionate and deeply connected community. Think back to a moment when someone helped you, even in a small way. Maybe it was a friend who simply sat with you in silence during a difficult time. Maybe it was a colleague who jumped in to help on a task unasked, or a stranger who held a door open just when your hands were full and your patience was thin. These moments often stay with us longer than we expect, subtle reminders that in a chaotic world, there is still kindness. Now, imagine being the one who offers that gift, a quiet source of light in someone else's day. Whether you're offering encouragement, sharing your wisdom, or simply being present, your actions can lift someone's spirit, ease their burden, or remind them they're not alone. For the Stoics, this kind of service wasn't an afterthought. It was a moral obligation. They believed that contributing to the greater good was a defining part of a meaningful life. When you help others, you're not just being nice. You're fulfilling your role within the shared human experience, aligning your life with Stoic values like virtue, community, and intention. Of course, it's equally important to remember the principle of balance. Helping others doesn't mean draining yourself dry. The Stoics warned against neglecting your own well-being in the name of virtue. As the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. Acts of kindness have more power when they come from a place of inner strength, when you're rested, emotionally grounded, and healthy in your own mind and body. This is why Stoic philosophers often spoke about self-care. Not as indulgence, but as a necessity. Caring for yourself allows you to better care for others. When your cup is full, the service you offer flows with authenticity and energy, not obligation or resentment. So, how can you start putting this into practice in a way that fits your life and values? It doesn't have to be dramatic. Often, it's the simple things that matter most. Start by paying attention. Look around your daily life for small opportunities to be helpful. Check in on a friend, offer support to a neighbor, or simply show up with a little more presence and compassion in your conversations. The Stoics believed that kindness begins with awareness, noticing what someone else might need, and then acting intentionally, without waiting for the perfect moment. Because the truth is, the perfect moment is often now. When you begin noticing the little ways to be kind in everyday life, a natural next step is to expand that kindness, to contribute intentionally, with purpose, to something larger than yourself. One of the most impactful ways to do this is through contribution, not just with grand gestures, but in the small ways you show up and serve the world around you every single day. Volunteering your time, energy, or resources to a cause that matters to you is one powerful path. Whether you're mentoring someone who could benefit from your experience, supporting a local charity, or donating to a project that speaks to your values, these acts of service create meaning on both sides. You're not only helping others, you're also grounding yourself in a sense of purpose, one that connects you to something bigger than your personal story. And the impact? It goes far beyond the moment, because when you help someone, even in a small way, you often inspire them to do the same for someone else. That's the ripple effect of kindness. It spreads, often invisibly, from one act to the next, multiplying through neighborhoods, communities, and even across generations. A helping hand today could be the very reason someone else lends theirs tomorrow. The Stoics understood this beautifully. To them, this kind of interconnectedness wasn't just a social idea, it was a core truth of our existence. We are all in this together, and when we support one another, we build a stronger, more resilient society. In fact, they believed that contributing to the well-being of others wasn't a choice. It was a duty, a central pillar of a virtuous, meaningful life. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest voices, put it this way: "The fruit of this life is good character and acts for the common good." So when you choose to help others, in whatever way you can, you're living in alignment with Stoic wisdom. You're creating a life filled with value, purpose, and depth. And in return, you gain something money can't buy: a sense of inner peace that comes from knowing you made someone else's day just a little bit easier. It doesn't have to be big. Sometimes, small actions lead to the greatest transformations. So keep your eyes open. Look for those moments where you can give your time, your energy, your support, and step into them with intention. You'll be amazed how it not only changes someone else's life, but transforms your own. So once you begin helping others and contributing to something greater, there's a natural shift that follows, one that brings you back to your own life and everything you already have to be thankful for. When you take a step back and focus on the good that's already present in your life, something powerful happens. Your perspective begins to shift. You stop obsessing over what's missing and instead start to appreciate the richness of what's already there. The Stoics were firm believers in this principle of gratitude. They didn't think contentment came from acquiring more, chasing success, or constantly upgrading. Instead, they believed true peace came from one simple habit: valuing what you already have. As Seneca famously said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This teaching cuts straight to the heart of modern discontent. In a world that constantly tells us we need more money, more status, more stuff, the Stoics remind us that real wealth isn't about accumulation. It's about satisfaction. It's about finding joy in the present moment, just as it is. But let's be honest, that's easier said than done. Why is it so hard to focus on what we already have? One reason is human nature. Our brains are naturally wired to scan for what's missing. This survival instinct, meant to keep us alert and improving, often turns inward, causing us to obsess over every gap in our lives. The promotion we didn't get, the relationship we don't have, the goals we haven't reached. This mindset, while motivating at times, can easily lead to a state of constant dissatisfaction where nothing ever feels quite enough. And that's exactly where the practice of gratitude comes in. Gratitude isn't just a nice idea. It's a mindset shift. It's a daily habit, a lens through which you can see life not as something lacking, but as something full. It helps you pause, take notice, and appreciate what's already here, instead of endlessly chasing what isn't. And guess what? Science agrees with the Stoics. Research shows that people who practice gratitude consistently report higher levels of happiness, better physical health, and even stronger relationships. A study from the University of California found that people who kept a gratitude journal, simply writing down a few things they were thankful for each day, felt more optimistic, experienced fewer physical complaints, and even slept better than those who didn't. In short, gratitude is one of the simplest, most effective tools for improving your well-being, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And the Stoics didn't believe you should only practice gratitude when life is smooth. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, would often remind himself to be grateful for the most basic things: waking up in the morning, having food to eat, the chance to breathe fresh air, or share a moment with a loved one. He knew that life is full of challenges, unpredictability, and even suffering. But within each day, there's always something to be grateful for. And it's in those quiet acknowledgements that peace begins to take root. So how do we begin shifting our perspective toward gratitude, not just in theory, but in daily life? The Stoics offer a powerful answer. Start by paying closer attention to what's already around you. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most reflective Stoic voices, once wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess. And then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours." That wisdom holds just as true today. We often overlook the everyday comforts and gifts we already have, simply because they're familiar. But if we paused and imagined losing them, even for a moment, we'd realize just how much they mean. So how do we start noticing and appreciating these small blessings? One of the most effective and accessible tools is mindfulness. When you pause and become fully present, you begin to notice what was once invisible: the warmth of a cozy blanket, the fresh scent of morning air, the way sunlight filters through the window, or the quiet joy of sipping a hot cup of coffee. These little things, so easy to overlook, are often the very moments that hold the most peace. When we choose to acknowledge them, really feel them, they shift our emotional state, they center us. Another incredibly powerful habit is keeping a gratitude journal. Each day, simply write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big or dramatic. In fact, it's often the smallest observations that carry the deepest meaning. Maybe it's the sound of laughter at the dinner table. Maybe it's having clean water or receiving a kind word from a friend, or just the fact that you're alive and breathing today. This habit doesn't just feel good, it literally rewires your brain. You train yourself day by day to seek out the good, instead of fixating on the negative. And when life gets hard, because it will, gratitude becomes a powerful tool for resilience. The Stoics didn't believe in ignoring hardship. They taught us to acknowledge it, but also to ask, what can I still appreciate? Epictetus, another cornerstone of Stoic thought, said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." This doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means choosing to find the light, even when the road is rough. Take a stressful situation at work, for example. It's easy to get caught in a mental loop. Long hours, demanding projects, pressure from a difficult boss. But gratitude allows you to reframe. Maybe you're gaining valuable experience. Maybe you're lucky to have a steady job or to be part of a team that's trying together to solve tough problems. This shift in perspective doesn't eliminate the stress, but it changes how you carry it. You feel less overwhelmed and more empowered. Gratitude becomes your anchor. And beyond your inner world, gratitude strengthens your relationships too. Because when you express appreciation sincerely for the people in your life, something shifts. They feel seen, they feel valued, and the bond between you deepens. So now that we've explored how gratitude can shift your inner world, let's take it one step further, into the relationships and realities that surround you every day. When you express gratitude to the people in your life, whether it's your partner, a close friend, or even a colleague, you're doing more than just being polite. You're acknowledging their presence, their effort, their value. And in that simple act, you're deepening the connection between you. A genuine thank you, a handwritten note, or even a thoughtful message can go further than you think. These small expressions build trust, appreciation, and warmth, the foundation of strong, meaningful relationships. The Stoics would absolutely agree. They often reminded themselves, and us, not to take things or people for granted. In today's modern world, we're surrounded by conveniences that past generations could only dream of. Electricity, clean running water, access to fresh food, the freedom to choose our path, to speak our mind, to dream and pursue. But how often do we pause to truly recognize these everyday blessings? Gratitude brings those overlooked luxuries back into focus. It reminds you that what seems ordinary now is, in fact, extraordinary when seen through the right lens. And here's an important point. Gratitude doesn't mean abandoning your ambitions. It doesn't mean settling or stopping your growth. The Stoics were all about self-mastery and self-improvement. They believed in reaching higher, becoming wiser, stronger, better. But they also warned us about a dangerous trap, the one where happiness always feels just out of reach. Because when you're always chasing what's next, the next achievement, the next possession, the next version of yourself, you risk missing the beauty of now. Gratitude breaks that cycle. It helps you create a steady foundation of contentment, not to stop growing, but to grow from a place of peace, not desperation. In the end, focusing on what's good in your life is one of the simplest, yet most transformative practices you can build. The Stoics knew this truth well. Contentment doesn't come from getting more. It comes from seeing more clearly what you already have. So whether through mindfulness, journaling, or simply pausing for a few moments during your day, take time to recognize what's good. What's working? What's beautiful in your life right now? When you live this way, happiness isn't something far away. It's not something you chase. It's something you already carry within you. As Seneca once wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future." After discovering the power of gratitude and learning to appreciate the present, There's another weight we often carry that can quietly steal our peace: grudges. And learning to let go of them might just be one of the most liberating decisions you'll ever make. Holding onto a grudge is like walking through life with a heavy stone in your backpack. It may feel justified in the beginning. After all, someone hurt you, betrayed you, or disappointed you. But over time, that weight doesn't get lighter, it gets heavier, and the person who suffers the most from it is you. The anger, resentment, or bitterness that clings to your heart may seem like a form of self-protection. But in truth, it becomes a barrier, blocking you from healing, from joy, from moving forward. The Stoics saw this clearly. They understood that while pain is inevitable, suffering, especially prolonged emotional suffering, is often something we choose by refusing to let go. Marcus Aurelius, with characteristic wisdom, wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, when someone wrongs you, don't let them pull you down to their level. Don't let their actions corrupt your peace. Rise above it. Stay true to your values. Reclaim your emotional freedom. Letting go of a grudge doesn't mean excusing someone's behavior. It means you refuse to let that behavior define your story. You're not forgetting. You're choosing to stop letting the past hold power over your present. But why is it so difficult? For many, holding on to anger feels like control. It's a shield, a way to avoid vulnerability or future pain. But here's the irony: that shield often becomes a prison. Instead of protecting you, it keeps you locked in cycles of reliving the hurt again and again. The Stoics would argue that by refusing to forgive, you're actually giving more power to the person who hurt you. You're handing over your mental and emotional space to someone who may no longer even be in your life. And modern science backs this up. Numerous studies have shown that practicing forgiveness leads to lower levels of stress, anxiety, and depression. The American Psychological Association found that individuals who released grudges experienced better mental health, improved relationships, and even physical benefits like lower blood pressure and better sleep. Forgiveness isn't just an emotional release, it's a physical act of healing. It calms your nervous system, clears your mind, and strengthens your resilience. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most insightful teachers, often reminded his students, people act based on what they know, based on their understanding of the world in that moment. Most of the time, when someone wrongs you, it's not from pure malice. It's from confusion, fear, or ignorance. Understanding this doesn't make their actions right, but it can help you see them as human, flawed, like we all are. So if forgiveness begins with seeing the humanity in others, how do we take that insight and actually start releasing the weight we've carried for so long? Epictetus once said, "If someone speaks badly of you, do not defend yourself against the accusations. Instead, respond with, 'You obviously don't know me very well, otherwise you would have mentioned even worse faults.'" It's a response that blends humility, wit, and deep self-awareness. Instead of getting defensive or letting anger take over, the Stoic approach is to rise above, calmly, knowingly, and without bitterness. Why? Because they understood something simple yet profound. Most people don't hurt us out of malice. They act from ignorance, fear, or poor judgment. When you start to truly recognize that everyone makes mistakes, including yourself, it becomes easier to shift from anger to compassion. But of course, forgiveness doesn't mean denying or suppressing your feelings. The first step in letting go of a grudge is to be honest with yourself. Take the time to sit with your emotions. Ask yourself, why am I angry? What exactly did this person do to cause me pain? Name it, understand it, and then ask a harder question. Is holding on to this pain still serving me? Is it helping me grow, heal, or move forward? Or is it keeping me locked in the same emotional pattern, stuck in resentment, stuck in the past? The Stoics taught that while we can't control what others do, we can control how we respond. And forgiveness, real forgiveness, is an act of power, not weakness. It's you reclaiming your peace, your focus, and your joy. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means you're choosing not to let it define you or control your happiness any longer. One of the most powerful tools in this process is empathy. Empathy isn't the same as agreement or approval. It simply means trying to understand, to imagine what someone else might have been going through, what fear or pain they might have acted from. And when you can do that, even just a little, it softens your own bitterness. It helps you see that others too are flawed and struggling just like you. Sometimes, forgiveness isn't a single moment. It's a practice. You may find that anger creeps back in, maybe when you hear that person's name or when a memory resurfaces. That's okay. The Stoics would remind you to be patient with yourself, to gently return again and again to your choice to let go. Each time you do, the resentment loses just a bit more of its grip. And little by little, you free yourself. And here's something else to remember. Letting go of a grudge doesn't just change your inner world, it transforms your outer world, too. When you carry unresolved anger, even unrelated people can feel it. It affects your tone, your energy, your ability to connect. But when you release that weight, you create space. Space for patience. Space for understanding. Space for deeper relationships built on openness instead of guardedness. Once you release resentment and make peace with the past, you naturally become more open, more present, and more connected to the people around you. That openness is where healing deepens, and it's exactly what the Stoics believed led to inner peace. The Stoics often reminded us, peace isn't something we chase in the world, it's something we build within ourselves. Letting go of grudges isn't just about making peace with others. It's about reclaiming the quiet space inside you, the one that's been crowded by old wounds and echoing arguments. By choosing to release anger and resentment, you're making a powerful statement. I will not let the past control my future. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And what could be more destructive to your thoughts than holding on to bitterness? Every time you choose to let go, to forgive, to release, you elevate the quality of your thoughts. And as your thinking changes, so does your life. In the end, letting go of grudges isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's one of the most liberating and empowering gifts you can give yourself. And modern psychology agrees. Research shows that releasing resentment leads to lower stress, improved mental health, and healthier relationships. It even improves physical well-being, from better sleep to lower blood pressure. But it's not just about science, it's about freedom. Each time you choose not to react in anger, each time you forgive, even if silently, even if just in your heart, you're claiming your space, your clarity, your joy. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. To live with peace, even when others cause chaos, that's power. Now, as we step back and look at the journey we've taken together, we've covered 13 timeless lessons, drawn from the depth of Stoic philosophy and grounded in everyday practical wisdom, from choosing to laugh more to reconnecting with nature, from becoming a morning person to finding joy in service and kindness, from letting go of grudges to saying yes to life's invitations. Each principle points us in the same direction, toward balance, intention, and inner growth. Because happiness, as the Stoics teach, is not a stroke of luck or the result of a perfect life. It's a skill, a mindset, a way of engaging with the world, one conscious decision at a time. It doesn't rely on external events, achievements, or possessions. It depends on how we think, how we act, and how we respond when life doesn't go as planned. Each of the 13 lessons we've explored is a tool, not just for surviving life, but for shaping it intentionally. Laughing more helps us soften the edges of our seriousness. Spending time in nature reminds us that stillness and beauty are never far away. Becoming a morning person aligns us with purpose. Filling our days with meaningful plans creates direction. Sticking with what we love, spreading kindness, and embracing new experiences opens doors to personal fulfillment. And stepping back from screens, resting when we need to, and forgiving deeply, these are the habits that clear the path for joy. Now that we've seen how each small habit, from unplugging to reconnecting, plays a part in building a balanced life, let's tie it all together. Practices like stepping back from technology to be more present, giving yourself permission to rest, and nurturing genuine relationships with friends and family. These aren't just nice ideas, they're cornerstones of a fulfilling life. Helping others, practicing gratitude, and choosing to let go of grudges. Each of these is a shift in mindset. They move us from negativity to positivity, from reaction to reflection, from stress to stillness. Through all these lessons, one truth becomes clear. Stoicism isn't about becoming emotionless. It's not about ignoring joy or pretending you don't feel pain. Quite the opposite. Stoicism is about embracing every part of life. Joy, grief, frustration, love, with clarity, courage, and compassion. It's about recognizing what you can control and releasing what you can't. And ultimately, it's your response to life, not life itself, that shapes your experience. So, where do you begin? Here's the good news. You don't need to change everything overnight. In fact, the Stoics would advise against that. Start small. Pick 1 or 2 lessons that resonated with you most. Maybe it's taking 10 minutes each evening to reflect. Maybe it's saying yes to more opportunities, or laughing a little more each day. Maybe it's simply waking up 5 minutes earlier to enjoy some quiet before the day begins. Whatever you choose, remember this. Happiness isn't a destination. It's a habit, a rhythm, a practice. And like any practice, it requires consistency. One mindful moment, one conscious response, one deep breath at a time. The Stoics also placed enormous value on self-reflection. Ask yourself, how did I handle today's challenges? Did I act from wisdom or from impulse? Did I focus on what I lacked, or did I give thanks for what I had? These moments of honest reflection are where growth begins. And as you grow, remember balance. The Stoics didn't chase extremes, not indulgence, not deprivation. They believed in harmony with nature and with yourself. So enjoy the pleasures of life, but don't cling to them. Work hard, but don't burn out. Pursue your goals, but know that your worth isn't tied to them. True happiness isn't about having a perfect life. It's about finding peace in the life you have, no matter how messy, imperfect, or unpredictable it might be. As you move forward, carry these Stoic principles with you as quiet companions through the chaos of modern life. They're timeless for a reason, because they've helped people for over 2,000 years find clarity in confusion, strength in hardship, and joy in simplicity. Whether you're facing adversity, striving for purpose, or just learning how to breathe a little deeper each day, Stoicism offers a practical, powerful path to a better life.